In this video we're going to look at the various settings and controls that you have to spin content. The idea of this tool is to give you an editor that you can put spin tags into as you write. The benefit of that is if it normally takes you 10 minutes to write an article, with just a couple of minutes extra work as you go along popping in the necessary code, you can hit a button and generate several versions, 20, 30, 40, 50 versions of the same article, but each one unique, each one worded slightly differently. The big advantage of using spin tags is that you have control over how much sense the finished output is going to make, which is generally a big difference over automatic spinning systems. If you're not familiar with spin tags, then take a look on the internet, do a Google search for it. It's spelt one of two ways, both seem to be accepted, S-P-I-N-T-A-X, but it's also accepted to be spelt S-P-Y-N-T-A-X. I don't know which I prefer, both are, it would seem, correct. On the screen at the moment there is a brief explanation of what spin tags is and how it works. If you haven't read that yet, pause the video now and then you can read it. I'm going to clear this down and we will start with a blank document. Okay, this works like any text editor. You type and you've got all the normal features up the top. You've got a spell checker, a search and replace, copy, cut, paste, select, all of that sort of thing. So all the normal things you expect to find in a text editor, as well as saving, opening, and so on. What this also has though is a synonyms generator. So if I was to select a word, so let's select the word eat, and I hit the get synonyms button, then up here come up a list of words that also mean eat. So I can decide which ones would fit with the context of my article. So I could say, well, have more fruit and vegetables, maybe not. We could say consume, that would fit in there quite nicely. Consume more fruit and vegetables. I don't think gorge or devour. I'm going to select a few words anyway, even if they don't make perfect sense, just because I'm demonstrating at this point. So let's say I wanted to use those words. I now click the Use Synonyms button, and it puts in the original word I had and the words I selected in between the curly brackets with the pipe symbol in between, and this is what spin tags is. So when the document is spun, it will choose one of those words to output. Now, you're not limited in this instance to only going one level deep on the spinning. I'm not going to get big into this right now, but for those of you that are used to using spin tags, you will know that it's acceptable in many cases to nest spin tags. So if you were doing, you could do something like this, and I'm just going to do a very quick example. Actually, it would be an apple, and it would be an orange, but it would be a grape or a peach. And what I've done there is actually the equivalent of doing this. And a peach. So both of these spin tags do the same thing. Basically, the first one is going to choose between this or this, and then spin one of those words out. So you'll get the same results no matter what you use there. This isn't the best example of spinning, but it's a simple one. So just so you know, you can go several levels deep if you want to. I think spin tags gets a bit confusing when you go beyond 2 or 3 levels deep, but the software will handle as many levels as you want to throw at it. The other feature we have here is the automatic lookup. What I've shown you so far is selecting a word and then hitting the Get Synonyms button and it bringing up a list. Let's do the same thing again, and let's select eat again. Now this time what I'm going to do is, rather, because it's already there, let's just clear that. I'm turning on the auto synonym lookup, and you can toggle this with the F5 key. So now if I select a word, as soon as the word is selected, it will look it up and throw up the selection of possible synonyms. So you may find this quicker to use, and to select the multiple ones here, instantly I'm using the Control key and then hit the Use button. There's also keyboard shortcuts for these two buttons. The Use Synonyms button is Control U, and if you're not using the auto synonym lookup, so if I turn that off, the Get Synonyms is Control G. So that's the shortcuts for those there. So that's the basics of how it works. The idea is, as you write, you can select words, choose synonyms for them, put spinning in as you go. You can add your own spinning to it. Sometimes you might want to change out a whole sentence. Sometimes you might have a couple of sentences, and within that have variations of words, which is like where that nested idea would come in. Now what I'm going to do now for this demonstration is load up an existing PLR document. I'm just going to pick one at random off my computer, and we'll go through and spin out a few words so you can see how you would use this with an existing piece of PLR that you wanted to change. So bear with me for a moment while I go and find an article to use. Okay, I'm just going to open up. It's a weight loss article, doesn't really matter, it's PLR content that I've got kicking around on my hard drive. So if we want to spin something that's already been written, we just work our way through it, selecting the words that we want to change. Now I'm going to turn on with the F5 key the automatic lookup, because that makes this sort of thing a lot easier. And let's have a look. So now we're looking for words down here that will work in that sentence. So 3 safe tips for abdominal exercises for the obese. So we have 3 dependable, 3 prudent, sound, reliable, possibly trustworthy. I'll leave it out for now. Harmless. That'll probably do. There's a selection of words there. Hit the Use Synonyms button or press Control U and it drops them in. Notice it always takes care of uppercasing a letter. So if the word that you're doing has an uppercase letter, all the spun words will. If you do a word that's all lowercase, then the same will apply. Let's go down and pick a word. Let's pick a word down here. We've got the word truth. And we get all the different things, and if I was to pick a word, what will fit in there? The truth is that. So the reality is that, the fact is that. They both work. Use those, and you'll notice that it's put lowercase letters in for them. I'm just going to take a moment to quickly pop in a few more bits of spin in here, and then I'll show you how we generate our spun output. Okay, I've just done the first 3 paragraphs. That's taken me a minute and a half, and I've got quite a lot of good words in there. 1 or 2 places as you go, sometimes you'll think of a word that it hasn't come up with. For example, this original said we see on movie stars, and it suggested the word film, and I thought, well, television stars fits in there as well, so I just added that word in myself. So, you know, use this as a tool, and let the suggested words will sometimes spring other words into your mind, and if that happens, put them in, because the more spinning you've got, the better. Now once you've written this, you can save this as it is, so you have a version with all the spin already in it. So I will save that probably to a different folder. Just leave it there for now. Demo with spin. And the advantage of that is if you build documents up that have this in already, there are many web-based services that you can submit articles with the spin tax in them, and they submit to article sites and other places, and they spin it for you on the fly, which can be a good way to do it. But in this case, I want to show you how we can spin our own content. Choose an output folder for it to put these documents in. Just use that one there. And tell it what the title is for this. So this is tips for abdominal exercises. Okay, and then you say how many articles you want. This is set to 20 for the sake of demonstration. I'm only going to do 10, and then I'll hit the generate button and it will go ahead and do that. Now, if you haven't put very much spin in, don't expect it to be able to produce 1,000 variations, because if there aren't that many possibilities, it just won't be able to do it. And this, as it spins, tries to make sure that each copy is unique from the last one. So I changed quite a lot of words, so there's probably quite a lot, 50, 60 different variations it could come up with. So there we go. So in that case, it's finished. It's done the 10. I'm just going to open the folder up. So we know what the original spin was. If we just open a couple of these, there's one. Let's just read the first. 3 dependable tips for abdominal exercises for the heavy. Each person desires the tight ab appearance. So now let's pick another one. 2. Everybody desires a tight ab look, and this is called 3 safe tips for abdominal exercises for the fat. Probably not all that pleasant a way to word it, but it gives you the idea. And you can see that the other paragraphs are spun differently as well. And that is all there is to it. You can obviously also use this if you get given content that's already got the spin tax in it, which is quite common now. A lot of private label stuff is being delivered with spin tax in. You can go ahead and produce however many copies you want to do, and you can then pick the best ones out. That's it. Apart from that, you've got all the normal text editor stuff, as I've said, but you can figure this out. Just use it. A spell checker, which will go through and pick out. It doesn't know what an ab is because it's not a typical word. I'm going to cancel that for now. I'm sure you've used a spell checker before. Search, replace, save, all of that kind of thing. That's it. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the software.